She stood in the doorway with a suitcase in one hand and that familiar faraway look in her eyes. "I'm leaving, Aaron," she said quietly. "I can't do this anymore. You're trapped in the matrix." For a moment I honestly thought she was joking. My wife, Julia, the same woman who used to mock people who talked about energies and vibrations, was now talking like a bad sci-fi script. "What?" I asked, laughing a little too loudly. "The Matrix. You mean the movie?" Her face didn't change. "No. The Matrix. The illusion we live in. You're asleep, Aaron. You're controlled by your ego, your job, your money, your fear. You've lost touch with your soul." I stared at her, trying to understand what was happening. "And where exactly are you going to escape all that?" She set down the suitcase and took a deep breath, as if preparing for something sacred. "With Elijah, my spiritual guide. He's helping me awaken." The name hit me like a slap. Elijah. The man with the long hair and the silk shirts who ran those weekend energy alignment retreats she'd started attending 3 months ago. I remembered shaking his hand once. His grip limp, his smile too knowing. My throat tightened. "You mean the guy who convinced you to quit your job and burn sage in the kitchen?" Her expression flickered with irritation. "You're mocking what you don't understand. Elijah sees me. He sees my light." I wanted to shout, to demand how she could throw away years of marriage for some self-proclaimed prophet. But I didn't. Instead, I just stood there, watching the person I loved unravel before me like a dream turning into static. "Julia," I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper, "you're not thinking clearly. This guy, he's manipulating you." She shook her head slowly, pity in her eyes. "You always say that because you don't believe in anything you can't measure or buy. You've closed your heart." I looked at her, really looked, and realized she meant it. Every word. Somewhere between meditation workshops and moonlit energy circles, she had crossed into a place I couldn't follow. She picked up her suitcase again, but I stepped in front of her. "So that's it. You're just walking out on everything we built." Her voice softened, almost tender. "It's not that simple. I still love you. But you vibrate at a different frequency now. I can't grow in this energy anymore." I almost laughed again, but the sound caught in my throat. The woman I'd shared my life with was gone, replaced by someone who spoke like a stranger. "Julia," I said quietly, "does this have anything to do with him? Be honest with me." She hesitated, just for a second, but it was enough. My stomach dropped. "You slept with him." She flinched. Her lips trembled. "It wasn't about sex. It was spiritual connection." That word, spiritual, felt poisonous in my ears. I took a step back, staring at her as if distance might make the words sting less. "You cheated on me," I said flatly. "Call it what you want, but that's what it is." Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't mean for it to happen. Just, it felt right. For the first time in years, I felt alive. Alive. As if our marriage had been a kind of slow death. I turned away, running a hand through my hair, trying to steady my breathing. The walls of the house seemed to close in around me. The same house we'd painted together. The same living room where we'd danced barefoot after too much wine. Every memory felt tainted now. When I finally looked back at her, I saw guilt flickering beneath her conviction. Maybe even fear. "So where do I fit in this awakening of yours?" I asked quietly. "You don't," she whispered. "Not right now." Her honesty burned worse than lies ever could. That night, after she left, I sat in the dark living room surrounded by her absence. Her mug on the table. Her perfume still hanging faintly in the air. Every sound, the hum of the refrigerator, the distant traffic, felt unreal, like background noise in a world I no longer belonged to. Days blurred together. Friends asked where Julia was, and I told them she'd gone to find herself. It sounded better than saying she'd joined a cult led by a man who called himself a vessel of cosmic truth. I tried to move on. I really did. But part of me kept replaying the last look she gave me before walking out, the mixture of sorrow and certainty. 2 weeks later I got a message. "Aaron, please don't hate me. I'm at the commune. Elijah says I need to cut ties with all toxic energy. That includes you. Please understand this is for both of us. Love, Julia. That word again, toxic. It was like being erased one sentence at a time. Still, I couldn't let go. I started researching Elijah, scrolling through videos of him preaching about soul ascension and quantum love. His followers surrounded him like worshippers, hanging on every word. And there she was, Julia, kneeling at his side, eyes closed, smiling as if she'd finally found peace. I wanted to smash the screen. But I didn't. I just sat there, numb, realizing that she wasn't lost in some mystical vision. She was trapped, brainwashed by a man who knew exactly how to prey on lonely hearts. I decided to confront him. The commune was 2 hours outside the city, an old farmhouse surrounded by open fields. When I arrived, the air smelled of incense and damp earth. People in white robes walked barefoot through the grass, murmuring softly. I found Elijah near a fire pit, his hands raised as he spoke to a small crowd. His voice was smooth, almost hypnotic. Julia stood beside him, her eyes closed, a faint smile on her lips. When she saw me, her face changed. Shock, then confusion, then something like fear. "Aaron," she said softly. "You shouldn't be here." I ignored her and faced him. "You've taken advantage of my wife." Elijah smiled, tilting his head. "I didn't take anything, my friend. I helped her remember who she is." I stepped closer, fists clenched. "You convinced her to leave everything behind. You call that healing?" He didn't flinch. "Sometimes the soul must break free from attachments to grow." Julia touched my arm gently. "Please, Aaron. Go home. You don't belong here anymore." Her voice was calm but distant, like someone speaking from another world. I stared at her, searching for any trace of the woman I'd loved. But all I saw was devotion, to him, to something I couldn't touch. In that moment I understood. She wasn't coming back. Not because she didn't love me, but because the version of her who did no longer existed. I left without another word. As I drove away, the sun was setting, painting the fields in orange and gold. It was beautiful and cruel all at once, like everything about love that refuses to last. Months passed before I heard from her again. A short message, sent from an unknown number. "I finally see what you meant about the Matrix. He was the illusion. I'm sorry." No return address. No explanation. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. She'd left to find enlightenment and ended up finding only another kind of prison. But maybe we both had. Because even now, part of me still waits for her to wake up and walk back out of whatever dream she fell into.